Directions are just to find someone in class who you can connect with and build a complex and true sentence with.
Hillary Mill's 11th grade biology students are in the final days of their 4-week case study on TALEN gene therapy, and conditions are ideal for deeper learning. We captured the class for 2 days to see how our students prepare for and hold an academic conversation on the complex topic of TALEN gene therapy. On this second day, however, Hillary decides to postpone the conversation, choosing instead to support her students in deepening their understanding of the topic. In a previous video, we looked at how the class used a complex scientific figure to activate and push their thinking. In this second video, we explore the power of scientific notebooks to help students catalog and organize their thinking. But first, we see how the class began with a color-coded vocabulary activity that required students to pair up and connect 2 terms in a sentence.
So I color-coded the terms to match the different science content that we had studied. The structure of DNA, the nervous system, the muscular system, and genetic inheritance.
I think you want to do codon and me, amino acid.
Yeah. So one of the goals with this vocabulary practice was not only to work within having access to those particular terms. Hamat, what do you got?
Insertion of a nucleotide causes a frame shift mutation.
But for kids to be able to see the connection. So can anyone make any inferences as to where we're headed with this idea, warming up our brains in this way?
So because we're all connecting different words, I'm assuming that we're going to do a tie-up to everything that we've learned.
And what is that final piece for folks who were here yesterday? Sanita, can you give it a chance?
To support or refute the TALEN gene therapy.
Awesome. And reactivating all of this knowledge we have. So what I'd like is 30 seconds. You need notebooks open to a double spread. Our science notebooks are an essential part of our curriculum design and overall learning that our students do. This is a process and a setup that's been happening from 7th grade all the way through our 11th grade team. What I would recommend, so towards the middle, I'm going to set up my argument.
To help her students organize their evidence, Hillary created a graphic organizer based on the color and content scheme of the vocabulary activity.
So you're going to have an opportunity. You have about 12 minutes. Your job is to document this evidence. All right, good luck. Let me know what you need.
Do you have a diagram about the DNA replication? Yeah. Hold on.
Every document they receive in classes is saved and taped and archived in their scientific notebooks. One of the reasons that it's there is for access to them. That very real-world science role, which is the need to go back and check yourself, right? To go back to a data table or to go back to a definition or to go back to a diagram in order to make the connections.
This one over here that I was reading, it says that talons are simpler to design and can be used in any laboratory. So I think this one talks more about how accessible it is. I put a lot of value in my science journal because it's basically a tool that I can use every day when I go home and when I'm in school to make sure that I'm right about the things that I say in my academic language. But does this support our use?
Yes, because it's saying that we should use this, we should use TAL, which is the bacteria, to find the broken gene and then cut the broken gene. So
when using that familiar vocabulary, and saw some of my students flipping back to remind themselves of what those terms meant. Once they had a reminder of those terms, they were able to draw some connections and make some inferences.
Do you have anything on transcription?
We use our science notebooks because they're a great reference tool. If I don't correctly remember what I'm talking about, then I'll go back into my science notebook and I'll check it out.
The biggest part that makes them effective for students is that they are held accountable for them. They are aware of the criteria of what makes a high-quality science notebook. So they've analyzed real science notebooks to see what actually lives in them. And they've also used each other's as models to demonstrate how easy is it to find information, where is actual scientific thinking happening in their notebook. So the idea is that these scientific notebooks are constantly changing and reflecting what they're understanding when they're learning it.
What are you going to do with this? How's it going to help you?
Connect the inheritance.
How come?
I had been planning on holding our culminating academic conversation at the end of that day. When circulating and talking with students and engaging in the conversations they were having, it was obvious to me that there was an immense amount of learning that was happening for them. They were at a point that they needed to make a lot more sense of their learning. What are folks finding is the strongest area of support for their argument?
Our side that has the most evidence is the nervous system, and that's where we think we are going to be able to like fight everybody off that doesn't believe.
Academically
Fight everybody off.
I really appreciated the extra time that we got. Where I stood yesterday, I probably wouldn't have been able to come in with as much evidence.
What is the missing piece of evidence that you want to use in your argument? So sometimes the conditions are ideal for students to do some deeper thinking. Those can include students being really engaged in the topic. They have the familiarity with the background knowledge. They also are very comfortable using vocabulary and interacting with that vocabulary, and they are aware that there is more that they need to understand. Tonight, you are working on your organized talking points. I recommend having them in your notebook so that everything's in one piece. Okay, when I say talking points, what do I mean?